Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Camp Talk Live. First of all, let's start out by telling you where you can find us. Obviously, you're already watching on Facebook, but you can find this podcast on Google Podcasts, Google Play, and very shortly we'll be coming up to Apple Play. We've got enough of a library now for them to allow us on. So all that being said, make sure you like, comment, and share. Also, invite your friends to like the Facebook page. That'll be really helpful for us. So we're coming to you on kind of a somber Saturday here in March. With the coronavirus shutting basically the world down right now. March Madness has been canceled. Everything's closing to keep everybody basically self-quarantined at home. Grocery stores are cleaned out by, just crazy people. I mean, seriously, this is a flu-like symptom, not a diarrhea. So you don't need that much toilet paper, people. But anyway, so I know we've been talking a lot here in the last couple shows about hitches and towing. We're going to do this. We're going to do this segment again. This one's about weight distribution, standard weight distribution versus the Hensley. Again, I want to convey that Hensley Arrow does not pay us to promote them the way we do. These are my personal beliefs. The reason I decide that I want to make sure everybody's towing safely. So that's why I'm doing these segments. Very excited about actually getting this hitch on the truck. So we've got Pat Donahue and Zee Jacob coming to us here shortly, and we'll be talking about their life before and after the Hensley. And it was just a good casual interview, sitting down with some of our favorite ginger ales there and having a real good time. Some pointers that we wanted to bring to you here real quick. We found out that most of the state parks, not campgrounds, state parks are closed. Some of the campgrounds that are open are still open. Anybody that hasn't opened up their parks yet, I believe those are going to be a delayed start to those, but the parks that are open are still open. I imagine they're filling up pretty quick too, because people, with the weather breaking, it's actually warmer now than it was when I went camping in November when I did my last trip. So, we're going to bring you now the segment here with Pat Donahue and Zee talking weight distribution hitches versus the Hensley. Hope you guys enjoy the show as much as I did recording. It was probably one of my favorites. So let's get to the guys now. Thanks. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Camp Talk Live. We are the podcast version of the show here. We are finally in studio, Camp Talk Live HQ. Guys, thanks for coming. We are joined today, as always, executive producer Andy Smith. He's back behind the mic today. How you doing, Andy?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Very good. And we're joined with Zee Jacob. Is it Jacobs or Jacob?
Jacob.
Jacob. And Pat Donahue.
Hey.
Gentlemen, welcome to the Camp Talk Live broadcast studio. And we are here today to talk about towing.
All right.
Obviously, we got the Hensley Arrow hitch sitting right here. And I'm going to start off by clarifying, because after I posted the interview with Terry from Hensley Arrow, there was some, I call him a troll.
Sure.
You know, one of those people that say, oh, I've got to spend $2,500 to keep my family and my camper safe. Yeah, you do. Mm-hmm. You know, but you can check I'm probably going to go and screenshot those and post them up. But we're here today to talk about towing, weight distribution hitches, and sway control. By no means is this show paid for or promoted, but, you know, Hensley does not pay for their, I bought that hitch. They made me buy it. So by no means are they paying me to praise their hitch. That's not what this is about. Yes, they sponsor the show because they believe in what we do. So that's why I put my money where my mouth is, and I purchased my very own, because what happened with me, and I'll start with my story on my basic weight distribution hitch. Like most people, I inherited a used camper, or my in-laws' camper when I first started towing back in 2005, mm-hmm. and it came with a standard reach 2-bar chain and a brake sway control.
Right.
Completely ignorant to exactly how this system works. It was never really showed. Mm-hmm. Just know you put it on, you tighten it, and it's supposed to help with the sway. We never really took that trailer far. We go up a little, 2 or 3 hours away, flatlands. Luckily, most of the times we took it out, the weather was fine. Recently, I've purchased my very own new trailer, different size, different weight. It's an ultralight compared to that stick and tin. And the amount of sway that I had was frightening. there and back. And I drive a tractor trailer for a living, so it shouldn't have been that difficult for me to tow. So we're going to really dive into this subject really tight. But first, I want to start off with some what we're going to call the fire pit questions. I should have did these on a couple of the earlier pods. So Zee, I'm going to start with you. What's your departure routine? Friday morning or Saturday? First thing Saturday morning?
Friday morning.
Oh, you take Friday off.
I take Friday off. I try to get there even sometimes, Thursday night.
Well,
I get off work at 3
difference.
o'clock. Yeah, I get off work at 3, go there, set up the camp, set up the camper, the campsite, everything. Wife and kids will show up Friday after school if they have school in the summertime. Friday, everybody's there.
Now, what about when you're traveling as the family?
Thursday night or Friday. Thursday night. I like doing Thursday night.
You like getting it? I'm just like that. I like to get there, get set up, and be there in the morning
Exactly.
the day of.
So we can enjoy all day Friday. We don't have to worry about, because when I set up, it's a team effort.
Right.
Everybody's doing something till the whole, till the camper's set up, the campsite's set up. Then you guys can go out and play.
Right.
So.
And then what about you, Pat?
Absolutely the same thing. It's a team effort with the family, and so unless they're in school on a Friday, if we're just going away for the weekend, we leave Friday morning, get to where we're going, and once we get out of the car, it's kind of like the Chinese fire drill, but for setting up the camper. And everybody has their roles and responsibilities, and we get it set up and ready to go. But if we can go on Thursday, we leave on Thursday and we're there for the full day on Friday.
That's awesome, and I'm glad you guys both agree that's the best way to go. My wife hates being rushed when I get home from work. I want to get GTFO. I want to get out. I want to get there. When we went up north, it was we did the first 5 hours and we got to our first campsite and we were there. I didn't have to wake up Saturday morning and lose a whole day driving.
Correct.
So that's how I feel about that. When you get to there and you're setting up, Zee, we'll start with you. What's your favorite camp beverage to get started? You popping a beer or you mixing a cocktail?
It's a beer. No, it's a beer in the morning.
No, I mean when you're setting up. As soon as you get there, before you get out of the truck and start looking, are you grabbing into that cooler and grabbing a beer?
Into the cooler, grabbing a beer.
Excellent. So. Pat, what about you?
Not so much. I usually wait and hold off and get everything set up, and then that's when I can kind of bring the relaxation level down to a comfort level where I'll get the campfire going and then I'll pop a beer. Yeah.
I think Zee and I suggest you start with the beer. Get that relaxation started beforehand.
It sounds like that's what I need to do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think after you're done completely setting up and cracking that beer and watching it, watching everything is set up is the most enjoyable part for me. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, Zee, what was your first camper?
I had a Zeppelin by Keystone.
Zeppelin.
26-foot Zeppelin.
Bunkhouse?
No, nothing. Just one slide out, and the couch turned into a bed, and that was just a camper to go fishing and hunting with. And that was my first camper. Before that, I had a tent, and then I went from that to a Forest River Rockwood Windjammer.
Nice.
31 foot.
Very nice.
And the reason I went to that one, I have 3 boys and they want to sleep in a tent still. They're at that age, 9, 10, and 13. They want to sleep in a tent.
Right.
The bunkhouse is in the front where the V-nose is.
Ah, very nice.
And the master bedroom is the slide out in the back, which is reverse in most campers. The slide out is the bunkhouse. So, we're giving us the best parts, not the kids. So, the luxury, not the kids.
Pat, what's your favorite camping spot?
Oh wow.
Keep it simple. We're going to go here. It's fun for a good weekend. You don't really want to travel far.
Okay.
Type of.
If I can name the resort, if we're going to go within 4 hours away, it's Timber Ridge Campground up in Traverse City. It's a phenomenal place to go. They have a lot of things for the kids to do, and it's close to the downtown for my wife and daughter also if they want to go and go out shopping or something like that. And for the boy and I, for Trevor, it's we got mountain biking, we got the swimming, we got everything we want to do right there.
Nice. So you're more of a glamper. If you're saying RV resort park, or
well, that's what they call it. I mean, it's all dirt sites and nothing's paved in there or anything like that. They got a swimming pool, but it's close to everything, so that if
full hookup.
It does have full hookup, yeah. And so if I got to keep my wife and daughter happy, if they're going to go with us, that is very important.
Absolutely, so. Can't fault you for that. Nor am I blaming you for being a little bit of a glamper.
No.
But they'll still go enjoy the average outdoor.
Oh, absolutely. That's I mean, we do Timber Ridge maybe once a year. Other than that, we'll actually do most of it is. Where we just have electric and we don't even have water or sewer. We don't have full hookup in any way when we're going out someplace.
Pat, worst camping experience ever?
Wow, worst camping experience. That has got to be. Man,
is there that many?
No. I thought I'm having to pull to try to even think of one. I really haven't.
Even going back to your tenting days.
Pinery in Pinery Provincial Park in Canada, and that was actually tenting, and it was raining for the whole 4 days that we were there, and so we were just soaking wet. It was cold and miserable, and lightning hit 2 spots over from us, and still remember that we were basically floating on water, and all of a sudden it lit up. It felt like it was on for 10 seconds.
Did you feel that charge?
Oh yeah, and then when that hit, you could hear trees cracking and coming down, and that was a pretty scary one. But,
what about you, Zee? Worst camping experience ever?
Daytona 500.
Oh boy! Was that really a camping experience? Yeah, if it's in a camper,
you're out in the field.
Yeah, you're out in the field, and ate nothing but sausages and grilled onions and green peppers, and instead of orange juice for breakfast, it was beer. That was a rough one. So
yeah. I really can't say that sounds all that bad. I mean, if it was hot and miserable?
It was hot and it was. That's
no.
But other than that,
power. There's no power out there.
There was no power, but we had a generator.
Okay.
So, but still, it was just a crazy long
weekend,
dirty weekend. So,
and then we'll do one more here. What's your favorite hobo cast iron pie? You do those?
I'd say the Nutella. The one with Nutella and what else? Nutella and marshmallows she puts on there. So
okay. In the bread?
In the bread.
Okay.
Yes. I do like that one. And nothing beats a grilled cheese. Just a good old grilled cheese.
Right. What about you, Pat?
Ours is the croissant roll instead of bread.
Okay.
And then the pizza sauce and pepperoni, and for to make a
Tortino. Homemade tortino.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Tortino, not tortilla.
Tortino.
Pizza's, the pizza sandwich is probably my favorite as well. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, well, that wraps up the fire pit questions. There's a whole bunch on here. I'll be asking people throughout the year, all types of different questions. So let's get into the towing part. Zee, I'll start with you.
Okay.
Because you were brought into. Forgot to mute the computer. Your first camper. You had a Reese. Go ahead. Just go ahead and tell us about your first camper and what your weight distribution, sway control setup was.
So the first camper I had a Reese hitch, with a weight the weight distribution, and it worked. It was a smaller camper. I'm towing with a 1500 Dodge Ram, and I got the new camper and pretty much same truck and
same hitch,
newer obviously, but I'm getting sway, and we try to adjust it.
And so that's real quick. That's a 2-piece with a brake bar.
Correct.
So even when you crank it down.
Yeah. Oh, we tried, different links on the chain. We tried everything. And
it's amazing. I did the same thing with mine. I was hoping that different links on the chain would make it tighter to control the sway. Right. All that does is distribute the weight more.
Yeah. So I had a incident where my hitch, the whole block, cracked.
Oh, wow.
And got it replaced by Reese. They couldn't understand it. Their engineers looked at it and talked to Pat. We were at a Halloween camping together, and he truly sold this Reese hitch to me. And
the
Hensley hitch. And I started researching it, and I called Hensley, and they told me the price, and I about fell off my chair. And
tell what was that like? I mean, because I talked about it, my jaw dropped, and I'm like, all right, thanks for your time, and walked away.
So yes, I definitely did have that, but also the fact that, I had talked to Pat previously to knowing what these things cost. He's not trying to sell me anything. We're friends. He's just telling me his experience with it. So that kind of really motivated me to get one. I ended up buying one. And the reason I bought one is I had this beautiful camper.
Right.
The whole family enjoys camping. I have to pick and choose where we can go because of the sway and the drive. It's dangerous.
Absolutely.
I've actually sent the wife and the kids in one car, and I tow the camper alone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. Well, I bit the bullet. I bought it. And I think my first trip was there after I bought it. One of my first trips after I bought it, we took it to Myrtle Beach.
Big trip.
For spring break.
Yeah. About 13 hours, right?
Yep. We were in a caravan. There was 8 families. We all, followed each other. And one of the things that, Hensley installed it for me.
Took it right up to Romeo.
Took it to Romeo. They installed it. Great service, very friendly staff. And after the guy said something to me, and, I remember this, he said, well, you already paid for it. It's yours. It's on your truck. It's on your camper. Mm-hmm. You're driving away. I'm going to tell you one last thing before you pull out of here.
What's that?
We guarantee 0 sway. Okay.
Here's the test.
Exactly. Took it to Myrtle Beach. 0 sway. We went through the mountains. Don't ask me how it works. It works.
Mm-hmm. How long have you had your Hensley?
This will be the second year.
Second year?
Yep.
As you can see, I still have mine. Mm-hmm. We just got it.
Okay.
And we'll be in, the campers. I'll show you guys later when we're done recording. We'll go out back and I'll show you where she's stored out back. But,
okay.
So that's exactly. Pat, what was what did you have first?
I had a Reese hitch system, and our my whole towing unit was to start out with was a 2013 Yukon Denali with the big engine, and we had a 24-foot Keystone Passport ultralight, and driving with that, it was the same thing. It was always white knuckle driving around the state of Michigan to the different places that we were going. And I just thought,
there's got to be something better.
Well, yeah, I was hoping for that, but at the same time, I just thought that was the way it was. Because
exactly, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought that was life of towing a camper.
Exactly. And so with and I grew up camping, and so my family, we have been out. I've literally hit every state except Alaska in a travel trailer with my family. But it was one of those things I always remember when it was like, okay, I want to instill the same thing with my kids. I want to go out and I want to be able to go camping. But the one thing I always remember my dad would never drive over 300 miles a day in the camper because he was just wore out.
Yes.
And so it was just, that was the way of camping. That was the way of trailer life. And so...
And they didn't probably exist at his time because they didn't come out with this until 90, 91.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And by then I was, graduating college. And so it was just one of those that at that point in time, it was, we were going around Michigan. We were tooling around Michigan. I never had any inclination to take it out of the state because of the sway. that was going on with it. It wasn't of interest to me, and truly the safety of my kids, my wife and kids,
and the investment.
So and so and then it proceeded that when we upgraded to our 32-foot Grand Touring, the first trip, we were heading up to Petoskey, and by the time we got to the Zilwaukee Bridge, not only had I been white knuckling it, I wanted to turn around, take it back to the dealership, and either beat the crap out of the salesperson who said, "Oh, hey, you won't have any problem with this. There won't be any trailer sway with the reach hitch system and all that," or turn the trailer in because it was that bad. And we were with the group. We pulled off, and literally they said, "Listen, we'll take the side roads up. We'll go through we'll get up there." And we did. We made it up to Petoskey all through side roads and back roads.
Obviously, the slower you go, the less sway you're going to have. But when you're on the highway,
right?
My father-in-law never drove on the highway, so I never heard him complain other than he was towing a trailer with a Durango. Same. Those things don't have the capability to pull what. Right. But they, like you said in pre-show, this Escort will tow that trailer.
Right. Yeah.
He'd get there, and the truck would be, the front end would be sitting up, and so he never complained about sway. So when I got it and started driving it, that sway was just like, wow, is this what it's like? So I'm sorry, go ahead and.
Well, no, it was just one of those that we made it up to Petoskey, and I pulled in, I backed the thing in, and we got settled, and then right away it was. I called the dealership and let them have a piece of my mind. Then started looking online to see what there was out there.
How long ago was this?
This was in 2014.
Okay.
July of 2014.
6 years ago.
Yep. And I came across the Hensley, and so I started watching we went up on a Thursday, and I started watching all the YouTube videos, and I read all the white paper report that they have on their website. Really started looking into it, started, comparing this versus that. And then on Friday, I called them, explained what was going on. And they said, it was, I don't remember who I was talking to at the time. It could have been Terry. And he said, "We can fix that."
Right.
And he was very confident. There wasn't an arrogance or cockiness about it. It was like, "We can fix that."
I never noticed any cockiness or arrogance. It was always a matter of fact.
Yes, exactly.
Terry. And that's why, I loved interviewing him the first time, and then we really got in depth this year. And, even treating me as a customer, not as someone who's, they sponsor the show, but they don't give me the hitch. Right. So, they got a travel magazine that wants to do a story on them, and they wanted a free hitch that they might not get back. Right. No, they don't do that. No. Because of the word of mouth that this trailer does. So go ahead and finish your.
Well, so I said, this is what's going on. They said this is what it will do. I hung up and talked to my wife about it, and there's no doubt that there's a sticker shock to the cost of the unit. And
what did the wife say?
She was against it. And
what about you, Z? What'd your wife say? Because obviously a purchase like that, you have to run by the boss.
And she said, I mean, I don't know nothing about it. If you think it's going to solve this problem, sure, but how do you know it's going to solve the problem?
Right.
And that is the biggest question. Right. And it's you don't know that answer, because anybody that's selling you anything is telling you it's going to work.
Right.
And then you buy it and you're stuck with it.
Does she work?
She does work. I think the kicker for us was, we'll give you 60 days, 100% money back. If this doesn't work, bring it back. We'll give you your money back.
Every penny.
So every penny. And that was really that sealed the deal for us. I'm like, all right, well, we're going to buy it. Yeah. We're going to use it.
I've got to hurry up because here it is. So. We're end of February here. We're recording this show, and we'll probably hear this in March. And I've got to put this on in the next, 2 months, less than 2 months, right? 2.5 months, which is going to happen. unless this magazine wants to do something with it. We don't know yet.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, that was the sticker shop. When I told my wife, I'm like, yeah, this is what it's going to cost, and we're talking in excess of over $2,500. Their top model priced out at over $31.
Yeah.
So it is a sticker shock, but they do have payment plans. And if you're lucky and you call Terry, and you're lucky like I was, because I interviewed him at the show, I found out they had a refurb ready for sale. So I picked it up that Tuesday.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's great.
So, it's funny, the stories are all the same. And obviously luckily neither one of you are, the benefactor of a sway induced rollover.
No.
Part of that post after the interview with Terry was you don't know for a fact that the Hensley Arrow is going to stop your trailer from rolling over. No, I don't. But I tell you what it's going to do. It's going to stop a sway-induced rollover.
Yes.
And,
correct.
or, obviously if there's going to be some type of driving condition. I mean, if you watch the video, that thing gets out of control and that trailer stays with that truck.
Yep.
Every video I've watched on YouTube of a sway-induced rollover or sway-induced something or other creates a jackknife, a rollover, lose control and go off the road.
Right.
Whether it was a Hensley, whether it was a Reese, whether it was an equalizer 4-point, those hitches, other than the Hensley, all they do is add friction. Friction to help control sway, not eliminate sway. Great waste, the EQ4, great weight distribution system, but it works on friction until you get factors that stop the friction.
Right.
Or, because the factors are greater than what the friction actually is.
Absolutely.
So, that was, when I told my wife, she said, if that's what you have to do, luckily she, and I'm single income up until just recently when I made the decision. I bought this before she had a job. So, that's a lot of money out of a single income family.
Absolutely.
But, the amount of camping that we want to do, we've taken that trip. We took the old Jayco 27-foot bunkhouse with the Reese, the 3-piece system. We took it to Pennsylvania. That was some white knuckle driving. The UP trip last year, white knuckle driving. This year we were going to go down to Kentucky, but my company's going to send it. We're going to my company resort in North Carolina, so we're going to drive just the car.
Yep.
But then later this year, we're going back up for my second week of vacation, back up to the UP.
Yeah.
So it's
when you're not white knuckle driving, you're not limited to where you go and how often you go.
Right.
What's that like?
It is a phenomenal experience.
Well,
and
you guys don't drive tractor trailer.
No.
You drive. You said you work for the county?
I work for the county. I do have my CDL, but
Do you drive the plow trucks? What do you drive?
not regularly, but
No. Okay.
I do every now and then. So I mean,
But you know what it's like to drive a big truck. You have that
absolutely,
experience.
absolutely.
And it's still scary.
It's driving a semi was a lot easier than driving my truck pulling a camper when it was swaying.
Absolutely.
But now with the Hensley, I'm good.
How far have you gone with that now? You went to North Carolina. You went to Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, Myrtle Beach. We drove to Myrtle Beach. That's the furthest trip we've done there and back. And we do a lot of camping in Michigan. I mean, we go as far as 4 or 5 hours up and back. Long weekends. We make our own long weekends, and it works great.
What about you, Pat? What's the furthest you've towed? We talked pre-show about you've done some Western stuff.
Yeah. And so because we had, made the decision to go ahead and purchase it, and that's when we bought it in 2014, the idea was that in 2015 and beyond, we would be touring the United States. And so when we purchased this and used it in 2014 on trips within Michigan, felt really comfortable with it. Headed out west in 2015, and we did the whole, Mount Rushmore, Yellowstone, down into Colorado, Rocky Mountain National Park, all that type of stuff came back, and not a single issue. I think I probably sold 3 of them for Hensley while I was out west because they're not as popular out out west. You don't see them as much.
Obviously, they're Michigan based. So.
Right.
And it was funny. I was we'll get back to yours, but I was listening in their user group. Mm-hmm. There's a Facebook user group for Hensley Arrow, and the questions are, "Hey, you guys going to be at the East Coast show, West Coast show?"
Right.
That jaw-dropping factor makes it hard for them to afford those shows. I mean, this is a small Michigan-based family company. So, they're, whatever it is, the shows they do, it's got to be able to produce some money for them. So some of these shows they don't go to anymore, or they do different types of, advertisement.
Right.
So, the word of mouth is huge on this.
Right. Yep.
I can't wait to put this on my trailer. Do you have the cover for it?
I don't. No.
I'm thinking about it's a $50.
Yeah, I do.
Add-on.
I do. I have it, and we use it all the time when it's parked at home because we'll have the camper at home throughout the season, the camping season. We just throw it on. It just protects it from the sun and rain and everything. So.
But
they get a little ugly when the sun fades.
They can. They do a little bit, and I'm starting to see that now where I'll have to spruce it up a little bit. But we did the Out West trip in 2015, and then 2016, my son and I went back out to Omaha, Nebraska for the Olympic swim trials. We spent a week out in Omaha for that, and then went further out to Colorado and Utah for a couple of weeks, just him and I cruising around, and we've been to Tennessee, Kentucky with it. It eliminates any concern about having to drive any distance with the trailer.
Absolutely.
Have you driven it in high wind?
Oh yeah. And
straight as an arrow?
Straight as an arrow, and especially heading out towards Yellowstone. Where,
hashtag Hensley Arrow trademark.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you would see and I mean, you had the signs along the highway that says high wind area. You have the cone wind. I can't think. They look like the cone wind
for helicopters.
Yeah. Yeah,
that little cone that shows you it's blowing hard in which direction.
Yeah, and so they would have those along the highway. First time I'd ever seen that, and you would see the semi-trailers that were swaying back and forth, and it was other trailers that were going in, and I could always tell because you'd see some in front of you where they'd start swaying, and for a while I'd be like, okay, I'm going to brace for this, and it would never come. It would never come. You would never feel that in the whole unit. The vehicle and the trailer, and
now have you felt the push at all?
You might feel the push of it, but
it's not swaying, dude.
There's no swing. It's the whole unit. You may feel the push a little bit, and that's it with it.
And that's controllable, same as it is an tractor trailer.
Absolutely.
Obviously, those are much bigger.
Right.
And it takes a lot for those to blow. And they usually only blow over when they're empty. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever seen one that was blown over full, unless the driver was driving like an idiot.
Yeah.
But everything I've ever seen has been, a full truck or a full trailer. I mean, that's no blowouts on that trip.
No blowouts, not a single blowout, and truly, a lot of the time it was one-handed driving. You're comfortable with it. You're 60, 65 miles an hour, and there was just no issues at all.
You drive at higher speeds?
I don't go above 65.
What about you, Z?
I do. I do the speed limit.
You don't kick it up to 70, 75?
I'll do 75. I mean, on the way up north, the legal speed limit is 75.
Correct.
I won't go over 75.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's fair. I guess I would say that too. I'll do the speed limit, whatever that is.
Sometimes if it's 70 and you really need to pass somebody and you get it up to 75, but I'm going to have a good time with the family. It's not worth the safety.
Right.
So,
I mean, on the old system, no.
Not a chance in the world.
True, but not even pulling something when you start going over 75, it's...
Sure.
Yeah.
Just curious if you guys have felt the difference with speed compared to lower speeds and higher speeds. So you don't feel any different.
No, you don't.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Let me put it this way to you: is my dad, when we were growing up, we had a 33-foot Holiday Rambler trailer, and at 18, my dad said, "Okay." Now I've been driving for 2 years. My dad said, "Okay, you need to know how to drive the trailer just in case something happens.
Right.
And that was probably one of the scariest times of my life at that point because of the trailer sway. With the Hensley hitch on this one, my son just turned 16 last year, and we were going up to where we live at. We're only maybe about less than 15 miles from Groveland Oaks Park. And I pulled out of the driveway, stopped the vehicle, handed the keys to my son, who just turned 16, and said, "Here you go, buddy." And I wish I would have captured the look on his face at the time, but I felt comfortable enough with the trailer system and the hitch system.
Well, you knew he could handle the vehicle already.
Yes, already. Yeah, he's a phenomenal driver in my mind already for being a 16-year-old male boy, and then he drove it up there no problem. And when we got up there, his comment was, "Dad, I didn't even feel the trailer behind us." And I'm like, that's exactly how it's supposed to feel for it.
Beyond excited. Let's go pull a trailer out, Andy.
We'll hook it up today, man. We'll hook your system up today. So.
And you watch some of. Have you seen some of? Have you watched some of those videos?
Yeah.
There's one guy, I forget what he did it. He goes, "Well, you got this thing here with the thing on the end there, and it's a 3/4. That's what it is." And I'm like, "Oh my god, it's a ratchet and a socket, buddy. Why are you?" And his wife is commenting behind the video,
yes.
and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is so obnoxious." So
yeah.
I want to make obviously there's a bunch of videos.
A proper install video.
A proper install video.
Yeah.
So. Did you had yours installed?
I did.
What about you?
I did. I had mine installed, and that kind of goes back to that Petoskey trip. When I talked to Terry on the phone that Friday, he said, we can take care of this. This Hensley will take care of all sway issues. And I was like, okay, let me talk to my wife. We talked about it. I called him back, set it up for the next Tuesday. I drove it to the factory there in Romeo, and they installed it.
Nice.
And we'll never look back.
How long did it take them?
Hour and a half, maybe, to get it all set up.
I think by the time I'm done, I'm going to be an expert at watching how other people put this thing on.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be honest, and the reason I had them install it, I don't know why, just spending that much money. I'm like, just in case this is a gimmick. I don't want them to say, well, you did this wrong.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
You do it. I will pay for you to do it. So when I bring it back and say, give me my money back.
They didn't charge you to install it, did they?
I think they did, but it was a very minimal amount.
Yeah, it was very minimal amount.
I mean, I don't remember. I want to say 150, but don't quote me on that.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Okay. So it was but I wanted them to do it. So when I come back and say, take your thing back and give me my money because it doesn't work.
Right.
You don't have anything to say, you did it wrong.
Right.
Well, they proved me wrong again. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to cover all avenues to make sure that, I'm covered, but it was worth it. The staff was friendly. Like you said, it didn't take that long. I don't even think it took an hour and a half when they did mine.
They're probably, obviously they're, towing professionals.
Yeah. And that's really the reason I got them to do it. But now I'm glad they did it. They explained to me, they helped me, they got me to.
One less thing you had to do too.
Well, absolutely.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
Now
it's nice to be proven wrong in a good way.
You're no doubt.
Right.
And
no
that's
doubt.
We're going to get a lot of feedback. Obviously I got this guy trolling me on a post from the Hensley Arrow thing where, so what you're saying is A plus B doesn't equal C. It doesn't matter what the story was that caused the rollover.
Right.
9 out of 10 rollovers, jackknifes, loss of control were caused by sway.
So all I have to say to people like that, try it. And it's
he won't do that. I guarantee
it's hard.
it.
It's hard to try it when you got to spend that much money to try it. But I'm telling you, we had that Myrtle Beach trip planned and paid for. Mm-hmm. I promise you, after I saw the rest of the group what they went through in Ohio, just Ohio, and the wind, I promise you, I would have turned around and came home.
Mm-hmm. I hate driving through Ohio,
and that's the first state by us. I wouldn't have made it any further than
Ohio's just a
flat and windy, and everybody was swaying, and it was a nightmare. And I would just cruise.
I'm just going to slow down. I'm not going to pay $2,500 or more for a hitch. I'll just slow down. Well, guess what?
the reality
the
is
minimum
slow
speed
down.
limit's, still 55.
Right.
You can slow it down, you can speed it up. It really it doesn't matter.
And it doesn't always work.
Right.
No. Well, and that's even on that trip out west was South Dakota, Minnesota, the high wind area. There were two that were on their side in that area that we saw on the way out there, and I think that was the final point for my wife when she saw that, where she saw how much more comfortable I was in the vehicle driving with the big trailer, and here you have two trucks and trailers that are on their side, and I'm not feeling any of that stress. I'm not white knuckled. And then we saw one on the way back in Nebraska, and we didn't have any of that. And she looked over and she's like, "How bad is it?" And I'm like, "I'm feeling it." You get the side swipe win where but it pushes the whole rig. It's not just one or the other,
right?
And but I'm not feeling it. And she's like, I can't believe the difference in we're not feeling it. And the comfort level, especially if you're driving with a partner, and on a trip like that,
you got to have your wife or your kid.
Yeah,
you need to be able to rest knowing that they can keep going. If you want to, I mean, you're in the an educator. You're in the school system, so you get long summers
principal.
off.
Yes,
yeah.
right.
So. Someone like me who gets 2 weeks but wants to go west, you got to make every second count. So
Absolutely. Right.
I don't have time to stop and sleep while the wife, the kids just twiddle their thumbs while daddy's resting. We want to get there, so I want to make sure that she can drive.
Yep.
And go to sleep safely knowing that she's got this.
Yes, absolutely.
And that was the peace of mind that, when I talked to Terry about it, he goes, you'll have that. You're hearing you two guys talk about, you're going to have that.
So she had no interest in even getting behind the wheel with old one. She's asked me a few times, do you mind if I, try it, pull the camper?
Yeah.
Go for it. Yeah.
No, the answer is no. But that's not.
Well, there's guys.
That's my truck. She's got to drive. I have a hard time with that.
Well, and some guys do, But for me, But if you're going to do that trip and you are going to go, you can't.
No, absolutely. Yeah. No, I know. I feel comfortable. I am
warm, sunny day.
I'm very confident that I have no problem with her pulling the camper with this hitch.
Yep.
Right.
No doubt. Where the other one? No, I would not even think about letting her do it. For her safety. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. There's going to be so much to talk about this camping season. Obviously, you guys do it everywhere you go now. I mean, how many times does someone stop and say, "What's that thing on the front of your camper?"
Absolutely.
Almost every single trip.
Every single trip.
Yep.
How much is it? Thanks, and they keep walking.
Yeah, and some have, but a lot of times it's oh my god, wow, that's really exciting. And it's like, but it's well worth it. It is so well worth it. And then those that will stay and I'll talk to them and I'll explain, just like what we're explaining. We're sitting here in the show in the podcast doing is going out west, those winds, everything like that. It is so well worth it. And interestingly enough, a lot of the times the people that are stopping are ones that have little kids.
Right.
And I'm like, how much is the value of your kids worth? And if you plan
apparently
on
to
doing
my
this trip,
troll,
so
not
also-
enough.
Right.
Because his
right.
EQ4 doesn't give him a problem.
Right.
Yet.
Right.
Yet. And maybe he only tows it to a seasonal park a year. Maybe you shouldn't be talking shit if you're only putting it in a resort for the summer
Right.
and not pulling it,
And with as many trailers that are out there, there's a lot of those just the ball and brake system that I mean that's obviously the number one system out there. All we're saying here and why we were really interested in coming down and talking with you today is because this is a system that's better than that. We found it and we know what it can do.
Right.
And that's why it's so important is that, if you're really interested in doing it, if you want to be safe, you don't want the white knuckle driving, this is the system for you.
And also what a lot of times when there's, people at the campground stop and talk to me, sometime throughout the conversation, I tell them, I'm towing this camper, this size, with this truck. And the only reason I can do it is because of this hitch.
Yeah.
So
You can't put
I mean,
trailer
I am
that side.
I am almost. I mean, my camper should be towed with a 2500. I'm towing it with a 1500. I do have the bigger axle ratio, so I'm legal. But
Barely.
yeah. But it didn't work. I tried the other way. Yeah, it's a lot easier to spend $900 on a sway control system than spend
Control. That's the word.
Yeah.
The biggest word is control.
Then
It doesn't eliminate. It controls until it doesn't.
yeah, and it doesn't. It
know,
didn't. In my case, it definitely did not.
So he said we're using words that are scare tactics, like I'm the media and I've got an agenda. I'm like, are you kidding me? Seriously? This is for your safety. This is for your investment safety.
Right.
This is for the
Right.
not just you, your family, and your investment, but those of us driving around you. Something happens where you're a little tired. You start to and you jerk. You get a little bit of sway. Doesn't necessarily have to be because of wind.
Right.
You could be going a little, your driver fatigue. It doesn't matter what the factor is.
If you have
The
to
loss
avoid
of-
something in the road, you have to avoid another driver.
Absolutely.
After watching that video, I would love to take this thing through some cones just to have fun with it and
Right.
see how it tows. Because, I mean, the video alone, it's a Dodge Intrepid or the Lincoln Town Car.
Yeah.
Like, did you see the Lincoln Town Car? My grandfather towed his 28-foot boat that weighed more than a camper with a Lincoln Town Car. Up until, the day we took his license away. Sitting in the car and he's just towing the trailer, which was a bear itself, and he just took off and turned left. But yeah, that
The
car,
good old days.
Oh God, yeah, that was God, either early '90s or mid 2000s. I forget when that happened. But regardless, those and here's the big kick: the dealerships don't work with Hensley very well.
No.
At least from what I understand. Yes, you can get it. Because here's the thing. You're going to spend, say you buy the top end model, $3,100, $3,200. You can roll that into your financing.
Yep.
It might add another $25, $30 to your monthly payment, but you know what? At the end of the day, or you pay for it on the side. You can finance this for a year for, I think it was forgive me, Terry, for not remembering the price. Under $300 a month for a year.
Right.
And it's paid for.
Yep.
That way you're not rolling it into the finance of your camping. But if you're, someone like me who's, we talked about it in my camper buying experience, the first pod I did, know your financing. You don't want to spend too much if you can pay for it on the side. But if you roll it into your financing, you're going to be paying that hitch over, X amount of years. So you're actually going to pay more than $3,100 at the end of the day. So, but that's something I talked with my sales rep, Ryan, and I said, hey man, let's do some more to make these things safer. I understand you have to sell a camper and you're going to put, whatever hitch is at your dealership and what they're selling, but let's put a little push into this Arrow because it's safer. It's better for you, me, and the people on the road, and for that investment. Let's do something. Oh, we'll see if we can. We'll recommend it. It's like.
It's like at least give the people the option of,
let's give them the option
of having this put on instead of just going, okay, you can have the $400 one or the $900 one.
Yeah, they charge me. I think the center line on Amazon's like $3.99.
Yeah.
They charge me $4.99 installed. So they made a little bit of money on the install and the hitch, and decent weight distribution system, but shit for sway control.
Right.
And at the end of the day, the sway is what we're talking about. By no means are any of us experts.
No way.
Not at all.
But now we kind of are because, well, at least you two are. You've experienced what this hitch can and can't do. Pat, you've been out west with it. You've experienced rain.
Yep.
Wind.
High wind. Yeah.
You took it right out of right out the gate. A couple weeks after you got it, you took it down to Myrtle Beach.
Absolutely.
Through the mountains. And I mean, just you two alone makes me feel confident that my purchase was well worth the investment.
It absolutely is.
100%.
Because that will stay with me the rest of my life. Through this camper, through the next, because I got the 1,400 pound bars. So, I can put any size camper as long as my truck can handle that weight. So,
well, a 1,400 pound bar, you're good up through 2,500 250 size trucks. Basically.
Oh yeah.
You know what kills me is you see these guys towing these trailers without this weight control on, especially the just because they have the 350. I mean, obviously they're towing something that's not theirs. You know, they're the ones that are transporting these trailers. Some of them you'll see them hooked up to weight distribution, but most of them you just see them going, and all they do is put airbags on it to keep the front end
to keep
down,
it level,
keep it level, and keep the traction on it. But even my cousin, who's got it's a 48-foot toy hauler. He's got a 350 diesel with airbags, and he still tows it with a weight distribution. So his is a fifth wheel. I'm sorry, his is a fifth wheel.
So by the way, before I bought Hensley, I tried the airbags. I put airbags in my truck.
Yeah,
I tried everything.
I was about to do that.
I tried everything.
I got them sitting in my inbox or my cart in Amazon.
Yeah. So I've tried everything, and no.
Well, we talked about it.
It did help. I'm not going to say it didn't help.
Right.
But it didn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Not as far as weight distribution, but it will help level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because there's things that, and there's another thing people don't think about. We talked about it. That pod will be coming out. We got a couple in the bank that we're getting ready to release, but these are the ones that are important to us now. Where the Hensley interview, obviously, this one's going to come out here in a couple weeks after they heard that, and then I want to release the one that was, my interview with my Ford rep Dan Cheney, and he talked about what the Ford vehicles, like you think the Expedition would be able to tow, it can't. You'd think the Denali's would be able to tow that weight. They can't.
They can't. Not that high. Yeah.
No, not that high.
Yeah.
It's funny that the F-150 has the highest tow rating. I mean, almost. You said it was higher than or compared to Dodge and GM, Andy.
Yeah, I think it's just
best
a little bit
towing.
higher. Yeah,
it's best in class towing. But
it's
there's
about 1,000 pounds higher.
There's little nuances like it can't be a 4-door if it's a regular cab. Obviously, it's a lighter truck; it can tow more.
Right. It all has to do with it has to be the specific configuration down to the certain cab, certain bed length, certain axle ratio, certain engine,
transmission.
Right.
To
all that stuff combined. And people don't think about that stuff.
Number.
No, they don't, because I think we were talking about it, or maybe it was just in the pre-production here, was the idea that what comes out on the commercials is the highest towing capacity of any of the other vehicles,
right?
And but it doesn't talk about those specifics,
right? And one thing they don't tell you, like Ford is a good one. I had brought this up before. The numbers they state. The towing capacity and the hauling capacity for their F-150 is actually two different model trucks.
Yes. Yep.
Their towing capacity number is for the 3.5 model truck.
Not the 2.7, which is their best-selling truck.
Right, but their hauling capacity that they advertise is for their truck with their 5.0 motor.
Right.
So they're advertising numbers...
the 3.5 is higher than the 5.0.
No, not for hauling capacity. Not for the weight in the bed of the truck.
Oh, for payload, you mean?
Right, for payload
Best
capacity.
in payload is a 5.0, yeah,
right.
because it's a...
Right.
So they're showing numbers in the same ad for two different trucks.
They talk generalities in the commercial.
Right.
And then, but people don't understand
It's a little dangerous.
It is.
Like I said at the beginning, I had F-150. I put a trailer on it that was probably not capable of towing. I put 10,000 pounds of steel on that trailer, so I was probably pulling 15 to 17,000 pounds on the back of my truck.
Wow.
Yeah, it pulled it fine. I wish the trailer had electronic brakes.
Yep. yeah, absolutely.
That was the funny part was that actually pulled better than my travel trailer because all that weight. But it was and now that I've educated myself, and obviously knowledge is power, especially when it comes to this industry. I with this show, I'm learning so much every more than just I'm thinking, hey, I got enough to do this show. I have enough knowledge,
Right.
And it seems like every show I'm doing more and more research to make sure I can back up what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
And like I said, by no means am I a professional, but at the end of the day, when I'm done, yeah, I've gained enough knowledge to say, yeah, I know what the hell I'm talking about. I don't care if you say A and B doesn't equal C. I'm telling you.
Right.
It was caused by some loss of control due to sway, whether it was a jackknife, a rollover, drove off the road.
Right.
You know, there's just so many different possibilities with sway.
And, you know, and that's the thing about it. And that's, I happened to see the post this morning on Facebook in regards to it, and the troll it was wordsmithing, and you know, to take one word of your post and your comment and just focus on that, and I just don't think
he didn't see the wording in the picture. It said the Reese hitch did not prevent the sway.
Yes, correct. And that was it. And so it kind of raised my ire a little bit, because it was like, oh, wait a minute, you know, the Hensley it's saying that it will stop that, and again, he didn't see the wording within the picture.
And it's a terrifying image to see a trailer apart on the side of a road.
Absolutely,
I've seen it firsthand. I've seen fifth wheels on their side. There's nothing says that the wind isn't going to blow us over with a Hensley. Nothing's going to say that.
Right.
The only thing it's going to do is eliminate that sway that's going to cause us to lose the control. That's going to end up jackknifing.
Right.
And ultimately possibly rolling over. I watched one. The guy jackknifed, slid, rolled both the trailer and the truck. And then the truck came up, right? And the trailer started to come. I'm like, oh, it's just going to end up with real bad scrape marks. You know, because when it came up, there's not even broken glass. Oh, but then it completely rolled again, and you saw the slide come out and go back in. And and these things when they come apart, oh my God,
explode.
They explode.
Right, they do.
They just poof. Debris everywhere. I mean, just like a truck.
I wonder how long it takes them to clean up the road after one of those.
They've got to bring in an oversized flatbed and just kind of, you know, it's like scraping a.
Well, yeah, they bring in the flatbed for the frame, then they bring in a dumpster for what's left on
everything
the road.
else that's spread out. Yeah. And it is very scary, because, like you said, you've seen one. I've seen three in my travel out west, and I mean, it's you slow down, you look at it, and you look at the different stuff that's spread out all over the road or over the side. But then for me, at least, and for my family, it was right away looking for the family, looking for, was it just an individual? Who else was there, and are they okay? Was there an ambulance there, anything like that? Because what it comes down to is, you know, the safety of the people that are pulling it, and
pulling it and around those people,
and around it. Travel trailer, or was it a RV?
Right. Yeah, all three were travel trailers, in my case.
Because I mean, an RV will
Class A
just
or Class
about
B.
come apart the same way,
and that's
even scarier
from when that can be from a tire blowout. I mean, any of those types of things. So
tire blowout can cause real bad sway.
Yeah.
You know, and
a lot of damage to that.
We had that to a friend of ours that was coming back from Ohio this past summer, and
something else to think about that we talked about. Did you know that your trailer tires aren't balanced?
They generally don't balance tires. Yeah,
the quietness of I guess I
don't know the answer
just
to
throw them on the rims, and
they put them on the rims.
Go.
So you ever get there like, damn, everything moved around. You know, you get there and you notice a drawer came open. So your
dishes are in a different spot.
Right, I'm taking my tires off and I'm going to have them balanced.
Okay,
and obviously that's not going to control sway, but that's going to give me the trailer more contact to the road and a smoother ride, because it's not, you know, doing whatever and bouncing.
It's not trying to rattle, or it's not trying to hop up and down.
So and that'll make the life of your trailer last longer.
Yeah, it will,
with the lack of vibration.
So I'll tell you what I noticed with trailer tires. Mine came with 6-ply, C-rated.
Okay.
I switched them to E-rated. They're 10-ply now. I went and bought 4 or 5 new tires and put on my trailer.
Did you balance them?
You know, I don't know if they were balanced or not. I bought them at Discount Tire, and I don't know if they're balanced or not. I am.
You can just look.
Yeah, see if they have the.
They're either going to have the hammer-on weights on the outside of the lip, or
stickers.
Yeah, sure, I'm gonna, or the stick-ons on the inside. Of the lip.
Do you have rims or steel rims?
Rims.
Okay, so you have custom rims.
Custom rims.
I think they
Then you
did.
probably have stick-ons.
I'm pretty sure they. I want to say they balanced them. I'm not 100%
I
sure.
would
but
hope they.
I know that they did.
balance tires.
Yeah, they do, because I know when I got the Goodyear Endurance tires on mine last year, and they were balanced. I guess I never thought of it though. Is that true? Probably the ones that came originally on the trailer were not balanced at all.
Yeah.
It never even crossed my mind. And but I do know that the ones when I got
Now, once again, I'm not 100% expert on that, but I've been told.
No, it makes sense. No,
because they don't balance the tires on my work truck.
Yeah.
On my trailer. They don't balance those tires.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering why all my pallets are sliding, but obviously vibration will cause that. So it made me think about my travel trailer. And most of those tires aren't balanced. And, they put the cheapest tire they can put on them.
Yeah.
Usually a Chinese brand tire. It's, they're.
Yeah, I switched my tires to Templi, and I love them. Yeah. And just so everybody knows, I think a lot of people look at try it on the tire and say, oh, it's good or not. Well, these campers are sitting there for a while, so I think after second or third season,
you nailed it right on the head. It's not just the tread; it's the age of the tire.
Absolutely
right.
So he brought that up to me with our friend's car. He goes, "Okay, so it's got tires that are
because he was spinning in the snow. He couldn't get any traction. I bet your tires are old. I bet I could go out there right now and show you got old tires on there.
They're dry rotted.
Yeah. Not necessarily dry rotted. There's solid.
Probably plenty of tread left on there, but I bet they're hard as a rock.
Yeah. Right.
Because I had the same thing with my truck. I put new tires on it, and I've had no issues this winter.
All right, so we started the show with the fire pit questions, and the rest of our pods this year we're gonna end off on some new questions to end the show, and we're gonna be doing camping etiquette questions at the end of every show. So we talked in pre-show about both of you guys, what your biggest pet peeve when it comes to campground etiquette. So Z, let's start with you.
I think every time I go to Pat's campsite, he should have a beer ready for me and some appetizers. I mean, if he needs to work on that etiquette part.
Right. Yeah, the women want Jello shots every time.
Serving their neighbors properly.
Exactly. So I think you need to work on that there, Pat.
All right. That's fair enough.
The camping community has been great. I really don't have much to complain about. The only thing that I tell my kids all the time, and I wish others would do the same, and it's not just kids, it's adults, it's kids, is going through somebody's campsite. I own a dog. Dogs are territorial. You just have a stranger going through your campsite. Dog's going to start barking. I know they're tied down on a lead, but they're still going to run towards that person. And then now all of a sudden you or your dog look like the bad person because your dog is charging to see what this person is doing on your site. That's the only thing. I mean, that's really my only complaint. I don't go through people's campsites that I don't know. I walk around. There's common areas that you can walk through. So,
and it never hurts to ask, too.
And it never hurts to ask,
Because obviously, if you're in one of those campgrounds where you've got camping through the middle,
absolutely,
and everybody's butt to butt,
sure, do you mind if I cut through? 99.9% of the time, I'll say, actually 100% of the time, absolutely, go ahead. Yeah. But at least good. But just, if you're sitting there and somebody just cuts through your campsite, that's really my only pet peeve about that. And other than that, it's great.
Yeah, because when we've camped together, we've been sitting around a campfire at one of our lots and our sites, and we've had families walk right through and ignore us like we were not even there. It is. It's just that's pretty rude.
It's you're intruding on my space.
Correct. Correct.
I hate sounding like I need a safe place, but my campground is my safe place. But no, that is the space that I have. That is mine for my time here. Don't be walking through it. I have
paid for this spot. This is my spot.
Pat, what do you think? What's your biggest?
In all the years of camping as a father, and going through, I've never really had it, and then as a kid with my family, what Z said is probably the same is the same one in regards to it. But now as one of the things that I see is we camp 3 times a year with a very large crew, 15 plus families and campers, and so
you're the loud group in the campground.
We can be at times. Yeah, we can be at times, but it's more one of those where when we are in a group site is, many of them have a shared fire pit. Because in group sites, they don't have their own individual fire pit. It's one large fire pit for the group, along with picnic
so you're getting
tables
large group sites.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, large group sites, and so what'll happen is we have 15 plus trailers and families there, and while we're there, we'll have other people come in and take things like our picnic tables because they want to use them for their sites. And or they'll come over, even though it's in a group site, and they plan on having some friends over to theirs, and so we'll use the where all the picnic tables are at,
Common area,
the common area,
Pavilion.
Thank you,
the pavilion.
Thank you,
Yes,
the pavilion, which is part of our group site, and we're going to have our big breakfast out there. Mm-hmm. Well, all of a sudden the picnic tables are gone, or they come over and they're in an individual site, but they think that the pavilion is theirs to use. And they'll come over and have all their friends there or their kids running around when we want to have a breakfast or we want to have a big dinner or something like that. And that's been pretty frustrating for it. So yeah. Or the complaints when we are loud,
We're loud?
Well, we don't think so.
No,
we don't think so. But the sheriff
they're
department,
too quiet.
The sheriffs told us we were.
Yeah, the sheriffs told us we were.
When we told DNR to leave us alone.
Yeah, right. Oh.
Now, where do you get large campsites or where do you go someplace where you can get?
Groveland Oaks has, the group camping. A lot of the county parks have them.
Groveland Oaks.
It's in Holly.
Holly?
That one in Holly, right
Yes.
down the street from Holly State Rec.
Yes.
That's the big water slide.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, that place is a sun field.
There's no more
longer.
water slide.
They took the sun.
They took the slide out.
The slide out.
This year, last year?
Last year, yeah. Okay. Just because of age.
We didn't make it up to Holly this year because their dump station or their
correct.
Their vaults are down.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Right.
But this year they actually had a porta potty guy come through and suck everybody's stuff. Or you pull up to the station.
I think even Groveland Oaks every I want to say Tuesday or Wednesday. Don't quote me on this again, but I think a lot of these places have somebody come through once a week.
But like Addison Oaks, Groveland Oaks, they have really large group sites, and then some of the state parks do also, where you can set up for
with
that.
power.
With power,
no water,
That's
and
fine.
or
the only concern for me as ever is
So I just found out there's 10 state campsites that have full hookup.
State
campground.
State campgrounds.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them that when they update them, they're giving them full hookup.
Yeah, I think in the state of Michigan, there's 10 of them.
Yes. Yep.
And
good luck getting a spot.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother pod.
I think the closest one to us is Sterling State Park.
Right.
Out in Monroe. Mm-hmm. Right? That's Monroe?
That's the one.
Is that where Sterling is?
Yeah.
Sterling State Park.
That's a full modern state park then.
And they have a beautiful beach.
They do.
They have a beautiful beach, and they do have full hookup campsites.
Mm-hmm.
So something to look at. Andy, do you have a? Let's get your 2 cents before I put in mine and wrap up the show.
My big one would be the generators at night.
And a rustic campground.
Right, especially in the rustic campgrounds.
Yeah, we're here for rustic camping, and we don't.
When you're
out
out there camping in a tent, out in the rustic sites that are in the back that are supposed to be for the tent camping, and then the people bring in their RVs and park them for the season, and then decide to run the generators.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Well, guys, look into an inverter generator. It's super quiet.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously no one can spend $6,000 on a Honda Whisper. Well, guys, that was a great show. Again, I want to thank Pat and Zee for coming in and sharing their experiences with us today. It's about the safety at the end of the day. It's two people's experiences with standard weight distribution. Obviously, these gentlemen are traveling some distances. Those of you that just travel, around the state a little bit here and there might not get to experience the sway that we talked about in the show. God forbid you ever do. I've heard a lot of people say, well, I've been towing for years, and, proper setup and proper weight distribution, that helps. But, you know, at the end of the day, when it's just friction controlling your sway, that's not enough for me and my family. I'm sorry. So, you know, please, people, this is for the safety of you and everybody on the road. Look into, there's several different types of hitches that eliminate sway, not just the Hensley, but obviously they sponsor the show. So, you know, obviously that is my favorite. And that is the one that I did all the research on and the one I decided to ultimately go with. So, that being said, we got a couple more pods coming up, some phone interviews this time. We're going to be talking with some people that had sway induced incidents. Some pretty scary conversations I've had with these former standard weight distribution owners. They are now obviously Hensley owners. Again, these are just tales of people's journeys. And then we're going to get out of the towing segment for the season, and we're going to get right into opening campers. We're going to get into food. We're going to really dive into the food. We got our 22-inch Blackstone. Very excited about that. We're going to start off by talking about how to season it properly. So we're going to be doing some Dutch oven cooking. We're going to have a lot of food segments coming up. We're going to be getting into, I've got a friend of mine that wants to come in and talk about toilet paper versus RV paper. So we're actually going to sit right here in studio and do a test during the broadcast. We're going to put regular paper in versus the you know, honestly, people, unless you're dumping into a septic system, most of you are dumping into, you know, vaults that are going to get sucked out or whatever. So the difference between regular toilet paper and we're going to dive into that subject as well. So that's going to do us all for this show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. Share with your friends on Facebook. Invite your friends to like the show, because the more followers we get, the better turnout we get, and the more projects and stuff we're going to be able to do. Make sure you follow us on Instagram. YouTube channel is now up. We got a couple videos up on there. We've also got Instagram, unless I already said that. And of course, all of our podcast services. Hopefully they'll be all over the place here shortly now that our library has grown. So next time, make sure you pump that hand sanitizer. Make sure you cover your face and try to keep this stuff down so we can get back out to the public and do some camping, get all the campgrounds open, and get ready to enjoy our summer after the little bit of a delay here. And hopefully everybody we find you at the campground safe this year. And we'll see you on the next show. Take care. Bye-bye now.